questions for Coach. We'll start with Ben and then go to Ryan and then Wes.
Tony, just what'd you think of the way your team fought through those first couple of innings, and then just kind of the way they bounced back on short notice from Tuesday's game?
Yeah, it was short for both teams, but I think, they got to play at home last Sunday, and, they're a short distance away. We did have that flight to deal with. And, I do feel like those things all play into it. I mean, all things count, but really when the first pitch is thrown, you just got to compete. And I didn't see any one of our guys that wasn't ready to compete. One of the best players in the league got one off Chad. I mean, we're trying to attack early, and he got it pretty good, wind or no wind. But then you look at the way he competed through that situation where some guys would have had a chance to kind of fold a little bit when the wind's howling out and you're facing a good lineup. It really kind of revolved around that, in my opinion. I know we put up the big number in the second inning and had a good third inning. But I think our guys responded the way they have majority of the year. But it all couldn't have taken shape without playing a reliable defense and then also getting what we needed on the mound.
Seemed like both starting pitchers kind of struggled there early. Just how important was it for Chad to get you guys into the middle innings of the game and for you guys to get the Kentucky starter out early for, I guess, the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, that's one of those where you don't watch BP. You just stay in the locker room until the game starts because it calmed down. I mean, relatively speaking, it was still howling out pretty good, but BP was kind of insane. How hard the wind and how aggressively it was blowing out. But, really it was just a couple offensive things happened because of, again, good hitters with a fresh mind. It's a new series, took some good swings. But then again, Chad kind of dug in the trenches there and gave us really more than I thought we would get. And even came to me and said, hey, I can get us one more. We just know he's our guy down the stretch and we're going to ride him. So it didn't seem to make sense to do it in that particular, the seventh inning. So we got Kirby out there. I was going to share his nickname, but I don't know if that's for public audience. So Frank said it in the locker room, one of his favorite outings Chad Dallas ever had because it's not as appealing on the box score maybe as a couple others. But it dang sure was kind of a blood and guts effort. And I think that's a lot of who Chad and his teammates are.
Yeah, Tony, when you look at sort of the bottom, 4 or 5 names in this lineup right now that you put out today, that's a lot of thump there. And when you go into a game and you're game planning, how much, I guess maybe ease of mind's not the right phrase, but as a coach, how nice is it to know that pretty much going into inning there, no matter who's leading off, you feel like you got some potential to have a big inning? Yeah, well, to put an extra spin on it too is, it's comforting to be in the office. There's a lot of coaches that aren't this spoiled. But you got in my opinion, one of the premier catchers in the league, who's also Chad's roommate. So they're pretty close. And he's a late scratch, like literally last night about 7:00. And you say, that's fine to your trainer. We'll just put Jackson back there. So having him down there and able to slide in like that's huge. Similar deal with Steenstra and Liam Spence and other situations. But back to more of your point, yeah, I think we're starting now that guys are settling in and just playing ball. We're starting to get to that thing I mentioned preseason to you all that I really want to hear again. A comment at Round Rock last year. Someone said it's almost like you can spin your lineup or flip your lineup upside down, and it's kind of the same thing. And I think we have that ability to have balance of guys who get on base and guys who can punish, the baseball or drive the baseball up and down the lineup, as long as they just show up to the park and play. And they've been doing that as of late, and I hope they continue to. And I guess with Connor, is that just a recurrence of that same thing? Is it day to day? What can you say about that? Yeah, I didn't want to overstep my bounds, but you kind of wanted to say, what the hell? I mean, it was, oh my gosh, this guy's career at Tennessee's over. And then no, he's fine, but it's going to be a while. Oh no, he can play. And then, somewhere in that whole mix, a very tiny fracture or something in there. Again, I didn't want to overstep my bounds, but something in there requires rest if we want to be sure he's going to be good down the home stretch. So you guys know Pav. If we wanted to push the thing, we could. But with all due respect to any opponent that we're going to be playing, including, last Tuesday when we got our butts kicked, and then tonight with a team that punches in the throat pretty good there to start the game.
It's just not time to push something like that.
Joseph?
Yeah, early in the season, you had Ferguson in the top couple spots in the lineup, and then you moved him back down, and now you're starting to put him back up in that number 2 hole. What has he done to get back there? I know tonight he had 3 walks. He looks a lot more patient at the plate. What have you kind of said to him to get him back to that top 2 hitter, that top 2 hitting spots?
I think he's gotten back to his roots overall. I mean, you watch him field ground balls like that first ground ball of the night, if I'm not mistaken, very first hitter, very fundamental, just grinding it out. No style points to it. And Fergie's never been guilty of that. It's just the guy's made his name by being a grinder and a winner. And then somewhere along in there, that part wasn't as emphasized as much. And he got back to his roots. He's the guy standing right behind me in the dugout. He's noticing things on the field. He's cheering on his teammates in an aggressive fashion. And then presence. His body language has changed, much more like the Max Ferguson we know, where, you could not even know what the day's going like for him, but you think he's in control and you like your chances with that guy. And then the big one is the swing. I mean, you could literally see too many thoughts in his head going on when he was swinging. It looked at slow motion at times. It looked hitchy at times, or kind of 2 or 3 part. And now in BP, and he knows it, and all the coaches see it, he's really gotten back to being who he is. And I think he's going to gradually continue to keep playing better as the season goes on, because that's the pattern we're in right now.
We'll do a couple more guys. Got the players here waiting. So we'll go back to Ben and then back to Ryan.
Yeah, Tony, I just wanted to ask you about Chad's funky week, just with the last Friday being rained out and having to pitch on 4 days rest because y'all played Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. Do you think that hampered him at all early on? And are you concerned about any of short rest with Heflin or Tidwell?
Yeah, no, I said it to Frank. I was like, he's only on 5 days rest. He should not have as good a stuff, but it was almost the opposite. I think at times he might have even thrown the movement out of some of his pitches because he was cutting that thing loose. I mean, the velocity, the sharpness, it was all there. He got with Coach Q immediately after that outing at A&M. Again, we decided not to push the gas pedal down too far there. He didn't reach 100 pitches. We didn't go past 7 innings. And then Coach Q, who used to work in pro ball for quite some time, just kind of flipped him into a major league 5-day rotation type routine. And I think it helped get him set. I mean, he would tell you for himself, but in my opinion, I think it helped him get set to where his stuff was as good as it usually is tonight. I think a good hitter just got him, and then he can explain maybe the other pitch, but I think at the end of the day, he came locked and loaded and was really good. Good hitter got him once, but he got it out a great effort. The other 2 guys, they came out, I pulled Hef too early. That's just the fact last Saturday. And then Blade kind of pulled himself too early. We were going to get a minimum of 6 out of that guy, the way he was throwing the ball. He was throwing the ball as good as any starter in that series for the first 4 innings. And then he had to come out when his pitch count was still pretty low and didn't even tax, past 5 innings. So I think if there was a guy that was going to be gassed, it was going to be Chad. And he kind of showed you what he's made of this week. And I'm sure everyone's choice is, hey, I'll show you what I got, but give me an extra day off if you can. And he'll get that going into next week.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Pav too. You mentioned him being a late scratch. Was there something that re-injured that hand, or what exactly went into that?
Yeah, so truthfully, it was Tuesday. He was not in the lineup anyway, and he was taking incredible swings in BP, literally. And then on the last one, kind of just mentioned it was bothering him to Coach Elander and Woody. And then it took some time to get x-rayed and get all that stuff set up. So that's when it originated, but it wasn't until late last night that it was kind of confirmed that the doc didn't think he should do it. And so Woody and of course myself too went along with that. Let's make sure the guy gets healthy.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.